Welcome to Behind the Lash Chair. I'm your host, Alexis Weisenburger, founder and owner of AW Lashes. My goal is to help you as a lash artist grow with tips and tricks on lashing, becoming an entrepreneur, marketing, and so much more. This is an amazing place to find free resources and connect with lash artists all around the world. Let's get started. Hey everyone, welcome back for another amazing podcast. I'm so excited for this week's topic and our guest speaker who's here. And we are going to be talking about the pros and the cons of booth renting and opening up your own space. There's so many pros, there's so many cons to both topics. So let's jump into them. And our guest is Meg. And then, of course, our OG, Christine, and then me, Alexis. Hey, guys.
Hey. Hi. And we should let Meg kind of introduce herself and kind of set the stage for us on why we have her on this podcast today.
Yeah. Also, Meg, what's your Instagram handle when people want to find you?
My Instagram handle is Wild Babe Lash Co. And that's across everything: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of the fun things. I've been lashing for coming up on 4 years now, actually. And I did my volume and mega volume certifications with AW, which is how I got introduced with you guys. And over the past few years, I've been working at a commission lash salon. I've actually worked out a few of them. And I've had so many different experiences working in commission lash salons, and finally was at a point in my career where I was comfortable going out on my own and was ready to take that leap. And it was definitely the scariest thing I've done, but it's been the best 4 months of my career so far. It's been amazing.
You grow up quickly when you leave the nest.
Yeah. I did not realize I was going to be teaching myself taxes and all of things.
Right? It's like you get a degree in all these little small facets when you go out on your own versus just working for someone.
Right. Like before, I was just like told when to be there, here's your paycheck. And now I feel like I work 24/7, but at the end of the day, I'm a lot more rewarded and I feel a lot more like accomplished in what I'm doing. And I feel I have like a new sense of like self-esteem when it comes to talking about my career.
Yeah, I remember those feelings too. So what made you, when you first started, lashing, or you graduated beauty school, what made you be like, I want to go work for someone? Because I feel like there's two types of people. There's the person that's going to go work a commission and, have that sense of some clientele coming in. And then there's the person, I wasn't this person, but I know you guys are out there that are like, screw that, I'm just going to go booth rent, and they kill it. But, they just go for it with no clients. I'm curious of what your thought process was and maybe why you picked in the first place there.
Totally. So it's funny. Right when I graduated beauty school, I actually booth rented for probably maybe 2.5 weeks and said, this is not for me. And that's when I got hired on at the first studio I worked at. Going into the beauty industry, something that was really important to me was finding a studio or a salon that had a sense of like family and feeling like I had a lot of support throughout the day, and being somewhere that I was able to get a ton of clients in the door and just practice, because as we all know, like lashes take a lot of practice. And just knowing that I had a steady source of clientele coming through the door while I was able to just perfect what I was doing was really comfortable for me. And I think it got me into maybe situations with lashes or clients that maybe I would not have been in before. And so I feel like from working in a commission lash salon and then making the choice to go out on my own, I feel like it has better prepared me than just trying to learn it all at once.
Yeah, I don't know about you, Christine, from like a marketing standpoint, but I mean, it's really scary as a lash artist to, bite the bullet. But I don't know if you would advise someone, with all your experience and all your education background, what you would even tell someone in the first place if they came to you and said, "Hey, I can go to a place where they do all my marketing and, the clients come in the door and, they take a large percentage of my paycheck, but I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to worry about taxes, anything." Well, I guess some commission spaces you do, but, or, should I do my own marketing, my own Instagram and take the risk for maybe more money? Maybe not. I mean, what would you recommend with your background with all of everything?
Well, it's interesting because I think Meg talked about a bunch of different things, and you just touched on a bunch of different items there, Alexis. And I really think it's up to the individual. Like Meg just said, she started out booth renting, was there for about 2 weeks, and was just like, whoa, I want to focus on lashes and being able to perfect that and have that time and energy to do that. There are other people who, even when they're in school, they just have a natural flair for some of those things, and they are able to cultivate a clientele, and they're able to do all of those things, and they just want to go for it. And so I really think it's up to the individual and figuring out what you feel comfortable with and what works best for you. There is something to be said about going into an established salon where you are constantly going to be having clients come in the door, whether that is a booth rental situation or a commission situation. I get my lashes done by a lash artist, and she was in a salon situation, didn't love it, went to a booth rental, went out on her own and was struggling building up her clientele initially. So then she went to a different salon, and booth rented, and they had a lot of people who wanted lashes. And so her books were just filling up, and she couldn't even, she had too many clients. And when it got to that point and she had outgrown that space, she was then able to leave that situation and go back to her own, kind of like Meg was saying, how she booth rented, then went into a commission situation, and then go into her own and be able to just kill it because she already had a full, her books were already full. And so then for her, then she could set her own times, and she had more flexibility with the space and all of those kinds of things. So I honestly think it depends on the individual, but I do think there is something to be said, whether it's booth rent or commission, going into an established salon to be able to have clients coming in through the door.
Yeah, I totally agree with that because, I liked the commission sense when I first started.
I agree.
Because I like that it was on someone else's, I don't know, risk. Because if I messed up, I didn't have confidence in myself, to be honest. I didn't think I was good enough. And if I messed up, they had to go to them. And I just was worried in those ways. So I don't know if that's how you felt, Meg, and that's, why you're like, okay, commission, help me.
Yeah, like I remember the first client that I had, like, I want to say maybe a bottom lash got stuck to an extension or something. Super easy fix, but I remember she like really freaked out on me, and I was just so glad that I was at a place where it wasn't exactly my responsibility. Like I had someone to handle anything for me, and I definitely did not have the confidence that I do now, and it really gave me just the ability to, again, just practice lashes and just do lashes and not worry about all of the extra things. But I mean, that's just how I felt. I know that there's people that have started out just doing it on their own and they have thrived since day one. But for me, I liked having somebody to put things on.
Yeah.
Well, it probably also helps too, like you were just saying, being in a commission space, because someone is more like responsible for the other employees, they're also usually more willing to step in and help and be a mentor or get you help or help you get training or all of those types of things as well. And in some of those situations, they'll even assume the training costs if you need additional training. So it can also, like you were saying, it gives you the option to just really focus on the lashes. You don't have to worry about the marketing. You don't have to worry about taxes. You don't have to worry about any of those kinds of things. You just show up, you work a job, you get additional training if they'll offer it, you figure it out, you have mentors, you have people right there with you helping you. You don't assume the risk. And then when you're ready, you can step out and go on your own.
Having somebody else pay for your training is really nice. Because when you're first starting out, like you're at the beginning of your career, you might not have a steady clientele yet. You might not have like a steady income with lashes. And so for me, I was really scared when I was booth renting on how am I going to have the money to pay for the volume certification course. And then through salons that I worked at, they actually helped pay for my training, which was really nice. And so I like signed on time to work with them and they pay for my training, and deals like that are absolutely incredible when you're starting out in your career.
Did one of like the places that you did work commission, were they paying you hourly as well? Because I know sometimes like, you know, big corporations like a Deca is popular here. They pay hourly, and I think that's it. I maybe they get to keep their tips, which is kind of, I feel like they should get more of a commission, but you know, there is just hourly, like, hey, even if you're not lashing, you get paid.
So I've actually experienced both because I was a commission stylist for 2.5 years. So I've been in both situations. I've done full on commission, which was great when I had a steady clientele. When I was still building a clientele and my books weren't exactly filled, being on hourly tended to work out better for me. But I was still usually getting commission on top of that. So I would get an hourly plus a lower commission, or then I switched over to full commission. So then I got a higher commission rate.
Yeah. I feel like both, you know, have the pros and cons.
Totally.
I don't know how you feel about that. So what made you, so you were working, but like, tell us all the struggles you were having before you made the switch. Like, I guess let's go over all the cons, because we kind of talked about the pros and you can add them in there. But like, what was like the defining, like, okay, like I have had enough, not in a bad way of like, it's not, you know, the salon. It's like, what were your cons? Like, what made you want to like take the leap?
Totally. Honestly, I felt as if I was being held back. I had always known that I eventually wanted to open my own business and go out on my own, but I always just kept saying, like, it's one day, it's far away, someday, today's not the day, now's not the time. I came up with every reason, and I was comfortable. I was comfortable at the salon I was at. I enjoyed it, and eventually I was starting to get burnt out, but it was more so in a, like, I feel like there's nowhere else I can go. I was at such like a plateau in my career, I felt like. And that was probably the biggest thing that was bothering me. But I mean, there's other things like you have to request off for time off. And usually you're told you need to work X amount of hours. These are the days that you're working, and just different little nitpicky things like that. You're going to encounter that in any job, but when you go out on your own and you open your own business, you have full control over that, which is really nice.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing like working for yourself in a way, but
Right.
it's hard to make that leap though. Was that scary? Were you like, what am I doing?
I was terrified. It's really hard because there's so many pros to working at salons, and there's so many cons as well. But I think for me, And for a lot of people, you need to think about, like, are your clients loyal to you or are they loyal to your salon? And if your books are filled, just take the leap. Like, it's so worth it. You're going to be happier. You're going to make more money. You're going to be working less. So you should just totally do it. Like, there's no bad thing about going out on your own and being your own boss when you are already fully set up for success with a full clientele and experience.
You know, I loved what you said, though, how you knew when it was time to move on. You felt like you were at this plateau and there wasn't any more going forward in the situation you were going to be in. And quite frankly, when you're in that kind of a situation, in a commission type situation, and then you were facing burnout, you knew it was time to make a switch. You knew it was time to make a change. And I love that you said that, you know, because we've all been in those positions where we know we're in like a dead end job. No matter what, it's dead end. There is nowhere else to progress and move forward. And so you knew that was time. Now, how did you make the decision at that point? Because you were in a commission situation. How did you make the decision not to just go into a booth rental situation, like in a salon, just renting, you know, a space, versus, because the space you have now, you just completely went and found a little space. So, so how did you make that choice? Because you're going from the commission, and so now you're going to be your own boss, but how did you make the choice to do what you did, which was find your own little spot versus booth rent in another established salon?
Honestly, I thought about both. I really considered both options and I looked into both options as well. And I did tour a few different places because I wanted to make sure that where I chose was the right fit for both me and my clients. So I really wanted to see what options were out there and what was available. For me, I didn't want to leave a job that I was comfortable at and that I enjoyed and that I had great experiences at. I didn't want to leave that and take the risk of going out on my own to essentially booth rent from someone and still kind of be their employee, although I'm not. But it's that fine line of you kind of work for me, but you don't work for me, but you're affiliated with me. In my mind, if I was going to take the leap and go out on my own and leave my comfort zone, I was going to do it. Like, there was no in between area for me. It's either I don't do it or I just go for it. And I just went for it.
I love that. Okay, so now, so we're at this point, you've made this decision, you've researched it, you've decided, you know, booth renting isn't the right way to go for me. I'm going to find my own little space. So take us through what you did, because I know there's probably a lot of people in this same position, whether those that are just going to go out and, you know, they're looking for their own space to start with, or they're ready, they've hit that plateau like you have, they're ready to move out on their own. What were the steps you took? What was that process to get you to where you are now?
It was honestly quite crazy. From when I woke up one day and I told myself, I can actually open a business, to when I opened the business, it was only 14 days in between there.
Holy crap.
Yeah, I didn't sleep at all for 2 weeks.
Okay, now as a side note here, I know a lot of you are probably laughing because I used the word crap, but I do have 5 kids. So sorry. My language is always moderated, but there you go. But 14 days, that is like insanity. I literally thought you were probably working on this and planning this for like an extended period of time. Okay, so super compressed timeline.
And I was still taking all of my clients. I was still working during that time. Nobody knew. Basically, it had always been a one day I'll go out on my own, and I just kept thinking of every reason not to. And one day I woke up and I started thinking to myself, like, no, I could actually do this. And I had a conversation later that day with somebody, and they made the comment, like, why are you still at the salon you're at? Why haven't you went out on your own yet? And I was like, you know what? Why haven't I? And I thought about it all night, went home and started like researching what things were available for rent in the area when it came to different options for booth rentals and like hair salons. There was, did I want to do an office suite? Did I want to do like a Sola or a Summit salon suite? And I actually ended up going with we kind of run like a Sola or Summit salon. But there's only 5 of us in there, so it's really small, really quaint. And so I still get that intimate salon feel while still being my own like individual company as well, which is really nice. But I messaged the owner that night on Instagram, and I was just like, hi, I don't know if you have any rooms available, but like if you do, I would love to come and see them. And she messaged me back, and actually both of the Lash rooms were open at that time, and I went over and toured it a few days later. And that day I was definitely overwhelmed with information. And I had told her that day, okay, I'm thinking I'll probably move in June or July. I'll let you know in a few weeks. And I got home, had a full-on mental breakdown on the phone with my mom because I was like, I don't know if I can do this, but I want to do this. And I think I'm capable of it. But I was doubting myself, and I just looked at myself in the mirror and I was like, no, you're going to do this. Like, you're going to do this. Nothing is in your way. You're more than capable of this. And I messaged my landlord and was like, I want the room and I want it starting on this day. And it was, 10 days later. And she was like, oh my God, are you kidding? And I was like, no, like I'm doing it. And from that moment on, for the next like 10 days, I maybe slept 4 hours a night, was still taking my clients through the day, would go home, had literally Amazon packages up the wazoo. My neighbors probably think I'm insane with the amount of boxes I had being delivered that week, and just kept it a secret. Like my friends didn't know. I just had this like secret little project going on. And it was funny. I checked out my last client at my old salon and told her, I was like, bye, like, have a good day. And then I had to text her like probably an hour later being like, by the way, like, I'm actually like opening up my new salon. Here's the new address for your next appointment, because nobody knew. But yeah, it was a really smooth transition though. Making the decision was really hard. Planning everything is really hard. But overall, like if you do the prep work and make sure you have all your information and like think about all the supplies that you're going to need. And I went ahead and prepped and ordered like 800 spoolies. Like I'm going to have spoolies forever, but I never have to order spoolies again. So it was like, I probably like definitely over ordered supplies, but I was like, I'd rather have too many and not have to worry about it for 6 months than not have enough and be like stressed about supplies while trying to figure out how to run a business.
I mean, that's a learning curve within itself, is learning how to buy for yourself and what you actually use, not just going to your boss and being like, hey, here you go. And seeing how much things cost.
Totally. Yeah. Seeing how much things cost definitely sometimes is a shocker, but I mean, it is what it is,
Yeah. And I think as well, just something to mention, I think this could be a whole other podcast, but just knowing your non-compete, if you have one, or like more, I mean, some states hold non-competes, some states they don't hold non-competes. I know in some states it's by miles, like, a non-compete stands 10 miles from that business of service. But I would recommend anyone to know if they've signed one or, anything like that, just to save them.
I would recommend, if you work at a commission lash salon, when you get hired, definitely ask for a copy of anything you sign. Definitely.
Oh, for sure. It's worth, even if it's $500, $800 lawyer fee, it could save you thousands.
Absolutely.
And headache and stress and sleep. Because I will say I worked for a place and left I mean, I think I was 18 or 19. And I just left, and I didn't know there was I signed something, but I was young, and she did try to sue me, and I spent $1,000 to counter. Nothing ever happened with that, but I remember paying $1,000 versus maybe advice would have been cheaper, to defend yourself. And I was not sleeping until I never heard back from her.
Well, I also think it's important too, not just the non-compete part, but at some commission salons, based on how the contract reads, they could potentially, quote unquote, own all of your clients.
Mm-hmm.
And
I mean, they have all their info.
Exactly.
And I will say I am it's a hard topic because, I've had a salon too, and now I get how that owner feels when someone leaves and they're like, dang, I gave them everything. But I also have been the lash artist, like I said, that's gotten sued because I was sneaky, and then wanted to do my own thing and have my own salon. It's a hard business because I get both sides, and now I'm on the outside of both. And it's so hard because I get it. And I know the feeling of leaving and being like, I'm so excited to start my own, but I just have to give a shout out. If you own a business, I feel your pain as well as when someone leaves you and you're like, but you're amazing and you had a full clientele and now you're leaving me. So it's hard. It's a hard balance.
It's hard. I think something that a lot of commission salons, whether that's hair, lashes, anything, a lot of times they almost want to like scare you into thinking that you're not capable of going out on your own and that you're just a lash artist, just a hair stylist. You can't go out on your own. And they make it sound so scary and daunting. And don't get me wrong, it's the most terrifying thing I've ever done. Making that decision to quit a job that I enjoyed and knew I had a steady income, and taking that leap and just believing in myself. Where was I going with that?
But you did it, and you believed in yourself, and you did it in 14 days. So if anyone wants to know how to open up a space in 14 days,
talk to Meg.
Here's your girl, because it took me about a month. So
okay, but so going back, so now you found your spot and you talked to your landlord and you started ordering supplies.
Yes.
What else did you do to get ready?
Honestly, I had a spreadsheet going of absolutely anything and everything you could think of. I started thinking about realistically how many lash trays I wanted to get, and adhesives, spoolies, decorations. Like I had a full room I needed to decorate. I had a website I needed to build, and getting my LLC, getting insurance. There's a lot of things to do. Thankfully, my landlord has been like a huge help and kind of helps walk us through that process because she knows it's a lot and she knows that it's overwhelming. But there's a lot to do. Like I was getting decorations, trying to figure out even what I wanted for the past probably 2 years of just different names I had put together for a business, and eventually settled on Wild Babe. But that had been in my list for a while and I didn't love it originally. And I kind of tweaked it a little bit and then I fell in love with it. So once I had the name, then it was like, okay, I need to order business cards and do all of like my marketing, just having all of my social media marketing like prepped. So the second I quit, then it was like I quit my job. I felt unemployed for like 10 minutes and I went out to my car and I like had everything that I needed to like announce, which was really nice. So just being able to like fully prep yourself beforehand and not feeling like I was scrambling was really nice. I think everything had probably came in the mail by Friday and I quit on a Saturday. and then got keys on Sunday and started taking clients on Wednesday. So I had like 3 days in there to make sure that I got the room fully set up. I had everything organized, got the kinks out of like my booking system. That's another thing. You have to decide what booking system you want to use. Are you going to use Square, Gloss Genius? There's so many of them and they are all kind of the same, but at the end of the day, you have to choose one. So choosing that, there's just so many different things. So I just had a big spreadsheet going and I just started like crossing everything off the list as I was going. And eventually that list started getting smaller and smaller, and I started getting closer and closer to like quitting / opening up my own business, which then I started getting nervous, but also just so excited.
Okay,
Oh,
so
yeah.
I love that. And I heard two main things there. Okay, number one, creating a spreadsheet, creating some way to track what you need to do and when you need to do it by and when it's done. And also having someone that kind of can walk you through that process initially. So those were the two main things that I heard that jumped out to me, at least, that helped you to transition, especially so fast through this process.
Absolutely.
And I think another thing that you talked about, it was like a secret tip, is how fast you need to be ready to go when you tell someone you're quitting, because most commission places will excuse you the day of your notice. They're not going to give you 2 weeks to talk to your clients that you're quitting. It is, thank you, here's the door, because they think they're their clients. Once again, it's touchy subject for both sides, but
and I knew that. And so I actually made the decision not to give it 2 weeks, because I knew if I go in and I give it 2 weeks, I'm not going to be able to finish out my time. And then what am I supposed to do? Like, if I plan to quit and give in my 2 weeks and they don't allow me to finish my 2 weeks, well, now I have extra days before I can actually start at my new space because of when I was planning on starting it. And I didn't want that to happen. And so I just finished up my day of work and talked to my boss and just told her, I was like, it's time for me to go out on my own. And I'm really sorry, but this is just how it has to be. And so I packed up my stuff that day after I took my last client and headed out. And my mom was sitting in the parking lot for me, went out, gave her a hug, and launched my business from my car in the parking lot. So you have to be prepared ahead of time, whether you do give it 2 weeks or you don't give it 2 weeks. You need to be prepared for however it could go, because sometimes in the industry, leaving can get really messy. So better prepare for messy and have it go smooth than prepare for smooth and have it go messy.
Yeah, I like your advice of just being prepared to go, because I don't think I've ever seen someone gracefully give it 2 weeks and it go well.
Right.
So my advice is just to plan on leaving. Like, if you have like Wednesday, Thursday off, quit on a Tuesday and everything switched. Or, I mean, have it already done. Like, have your clients in the new system. Even if you don't tell them, just send them the text after you
That's
quit.
what I did. I had all of my clients, their appointments were already in my new booking system. I just hadn't sent them their confirmation texts. All of their information was already in my system. Like, I was 110%. My business was open. The world just didn't know my business was open.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's the best. Yeah. Just, I don't know. I've never personally seen it be like, yeah, you can stay for 2 weeks and talk about, and I get that also, once again, and I'm sure, as you're expanding your salon, you'll see this too. Like, you don't want someone in your space talking about their new adventures and stuff, because guess what? You have staff, and if they start getting that in their head, they're going to leave. So
Right.
I love to bring in both sides and be that devil's advocate of, I understand who's listening to this podcast that maybe is the business owner that's like, yeah, this sucks. Or, or that entrepreneur is like, I'm ready to go. Like, Meg did this in 14 days. I'm going to do this in 14 days, maybe a month, a little more conservative. Meg's crazy. She's on a different level.
I was literally a walking zombie. I think once I was open for the first week, I had my first days off. I think I slept for like 3 days straight. I was so tired, but I was like, I'm finally done.
Oh, totally. I don't blame you, because when I was thinking about moving to Colorado, I seen how long did it take us for AW? Like, we had time. Like,
I know.
we could talk for a few weeks in between time.
I know, because I remember, yeah, you called me and you're like, hey, I'm moving to Denver. I mean, you started planning this and way, way in advance. So, yeah, I mean, so Meg, here's a question for you, because I know that there's probably some people that are nervous about doing this because they're sure that they're going to lose clients. Did you lose any clients?
I did not. I would say be prepared to lose friends. But if you're staying in like around the same area, your clients are coming to you. They're not coming to your salon. They're coming to that salon because that's where you work. Or if your client is loyal to you or not. And for me, I knew that all of my clients cared about seeing me rather than caring about what salon they came to. So I felt very prepared that they were all going to come with me, and that they did. But I would say, like, be prepared for people to be jealous of you and for some friendships to end because of it.
Ugh.
I think that's true, but I also will say, being down in the future, Meg, I have hopes for those friends because, well, if you want them back, I think they might be reaching out to you, telling you, hey, I need help. I want to be on my own now. So I think right now they're jealous and they don't want to do it. But as soon as that crosses their mind, I think the first person they'll reach out to is, the person they burn bridges with.
Right. Like, once they come to terms and realize that they're capable of it, then they're going to be like, oh, okay, it all makes sense right now. But at the moment, I think people sometimes are just like still jealous. And so that's crossed. Yeah.
I will say, just because we're on the subject, when you go to leave a salon and you're trying to leave on good terms with the owners, just a side note, people, just don't leave them your worst clients. I remember someone left our salon and they left 3 clients, and they were the 3 worst ones, and they didn't tell them where they were going. They just ghosted them. So these people showed up for their appointments, even though that booth renter told us they were quitting. And these were the cray crays. And, even a lady brought in her dog, and like the dog thought it was human. So it tried to jump on the massage tables. It was just a nightmare, but she didn't want to tell her where she was going. So she put the burden on us for us to find her a new lash artist. But I think it would have been respectful to just tell everyone, because this lady was so unstable that she was like having a meltdown that her lash artist, this is how she left her, because we have these relationships with her. And I just felt very uncomfortable being like, yeah, I mean, she didn't reach out to you. I'm really sorry. Like, here's her number. And she's like, I have her number. She's not texting me back. Anyways, that's a whole thing. But I do have an experience. Like, please be respectful to both sides. And Meg was. And just let everyone know, everyone deserves a text, even if you're done with them and you're leaving them at the salon. Like, tell them,
Fire them appropriately.
Don't leave them with me.
Well, and I know we could probably go on and on, because I am sure, Meg, there's probably a million things you could think of to tell people and to help people through this process. But I have like a final question for you. If you had to do it over again, would you change anything?
No, honestly not. I'm really happy with how things turned out. I think all of the cards like played out just perfectly. I found the perfect space. I found the perfect name, the perfect just like everything came together, and I knew I was making the right decision because of how easy things were coming together. And I didn't really have any hiccups in the behind the scenes process of building it all. Like, yes, it was hard, but I didn't have any roadblocks. And I think that was just kind of like the universe telling me that just go do it. Like, it is all going to be fine. And it all has been fine, and it's been incredible. And yeah, I wouldn't change how it went. I just probably would have done it a lot sooner.
I love it.
I think everyone says that. I think I remember that was my big regret.
Yeah. First time I paid myself, I was like, I should have did this a while ago.
Oh, that first paycheck, when you're making commission, it's just because, you did the right thing too. You get products at a discount because, you're affiliated with a company and things like that too, that help you make your budget and cost more effective in that way.
Yeah, make your cost as low as possible per client. Like, if that means buying in bulk and spending a little more at a time so that you have more to go a longer ways and you're not spending as much frequently, like, it definitely makes difference.
Oh yeah, I couldn't agree more. So I think that's smart, and I'm glad you have no regrets and it was like a smooth story. I've seen scary stories. I think I scared the Meg more than you did. So don't listen to me. Be more like Meg and be prepared. Don't be 18, 19 and immature. It's the beauty industry though. We all have to admit, like, it's hard to leave. It's it's just
you spend so much time at the salon that you're working at. You really do become a family, whether that's a family that you love or you hate. You can decide. Like, you do become a family, and it becomes home to you. So making the decision to leave something like that, it's really hard, and it's not always going to be an easy, like, yes, I need to do this. Like, yes, it's time. There's always going to be something stopping you and getting in your way. But just knowing and leaving a salon on good terms and being like, I appreciate how much you did for my career, and I'm so glad I was here and I was able to give, like, my work to you for the past few years, and I hope that they appreciate that as well. I think leaving on good terms is crucial.
Yeah, I think that it sounds like you did, and that's rare, and I think it's beautiful because I wish I did. I wish I did it better. I wish I didn't just, go a few miles down the road and be like, oh, I'm leaving and here's 2 weeks if you want it, but not really because I already took all your clients. But
well, I kind of did the same thing. I went about a half a mile down the road and took all my not 2 weeks at all. So quit on the spot.
But your state's different. Probably some people have maybe regulations of that way, but maybe your state doesn't. So heck yeah, that's awesome. So, well, congrats. I think that's so cool, and it sounds so smooth. And I think it could really help someone that's just like, should I go? Should I not go?
It's
and you talking about how sweet the paycheck. I mean, come on, you're probably making 3 times more, double.
I'm making so much more.
Something juicy.
Yeah, I'm making so much more. So
yeah,
it's just, and the best part is I'm bringing in more money and I'm taking less clients. So
yeah,
I can't complain one bit. So
I love that.
Yeah, like, if you're thinking of going out on your own, just do it. If you have a clientele and, like, that your clients love you, why aren't you doing it? Like, like, I can't think of it. Like, why would you not go out and do it?
Right.
Like, at the end of the day, your mental health is going to get better. You're going to feel better, and you're going to be happier. And you have full control over your life. And that's a really nice feeling, knowing that if I want to take a vacation, I don't have to ask one person. I make the decision if I want to take a vacation, which is so cool. And you just get all those nice little perks. And I think being fully in control of your life is just, a lot of people never get that experience. And I think, especially as a female, to have that experience is just really, really like an empowering feeling at the end of the day, knowing that all of the hard work I do supports myself, and everything I do, I receive.
That's beautiful. I don't even know if I can. Christine, do you have anything can you top that? Like, that's beautiful.
I think we should just end it right there, just like that.
You know, I do have to say one more thing though, because we forgot to mention it, Christine, at the beginning. Is, people listen to this show and we don't have commercials, because I, as a lash artist, when I'm listening to podcasts and I get interrupted by a commercial, there's nothing more annoying. So I just wanted to do a shout out to us that we don't get paid to do this podcast. It is all just free content. So give us some love and share the show, because that's how we grow the show, is by you guys, not by making money off of it. So if you liked it, loved it, laughed, cried, are going to open up your own salon now, share it, because that was awesome. Meg is awesome. Go and give her a follow. And thanks for listening, guys.